That way we can keep up with who all has gone and kind of minimize the overlapping. Does that sound good? Cool. So let's go ahead and start with Consuela. Hello, good morning.
Hola, everyone.
Morning,
You just want to say your name, your district.
Consuela Barra Lopez, District 6.
Thank you. Miss Edna, hello.
Hi, I'm Edna Reeves, District 1.
Patty, good morning.
Good morning, Patty Fedua, District 5. And hey, Consuela, I heard you were in our neighborhood a few months back, so welcome.
Hey.
Good morning, Mr. Henderson.
Jay Henderson, I've forgotten what district I'm in. But I'm glad to be here today and to see everyone.
Thank you. I think you're in District 4. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Okay, cool. Mr. Hines?
Good morning, everyone. Wayne Hines, District 3.
Bless you. Andy, are you here? I saw your name, and now I don't.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. And Andy, you're not in the district, correct?
No, I'm a board member at large.
Gotcha. Thank you. And did we miss anybody as far as board members? Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and do staff introductions, and I'll do it the same way. So I'll start. Good morning, everyone. I am Mickey Taylor Hendricks. Josh.
Morning, I am Josh Reed, Manager of Administration. I oversee the Paratransit, New Freedom, and customer service as well.
Ricky.
Hi, I'm Ricky Amaker. I'm the Manager of Data and Reporting.
Christina.
Good morning. I'm Christina Sneed. I'm the liaison from the Department of Innovation and Technology, the IT representative.
Chief.
Good morning, everyone. God bless everyone. Stay safe. Ricky Brown, Chief Transit Police.
Larry Luckett.
Larry Luckett, DDOT Vehicle and Facility Maintenance. Welcome and hope everybody's safe.
Larry Smith.
Good morning, all. Larry Smith, Assistant Director of Operations.
Jennifer.
Good morning, everyone. Marketing.
Gina.
Good morning. Acting Manager of Service Development and Scheduling.
Alicia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Miller. I'm the Compliance Manager responsible for Title VI, DBE, ADA, Drug and Alcohol, and EEO. Thank you.
Elias.
Morning, Elias Fisher, Grants Administrator.
Zandra.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Zandra Wimberly. I'm working in operations and administration currently. I apologize, I'm going to have to take myself off video because I'm going to be in transit to another meeting, but I will be here.
Thanks. Ayobami.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ayobami Bell-Torres. I am with Marketing and Outreach.
And Sharon.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharon Fury, the Executive Assistant to Executive Director Michael Oglesby.
All right. So I did send out an agenda. I'm actually going to share my screen though, because we've made a couple tweaks. So just so we can get a quick look at what the agenda is for today. And I'm going to talk through it really quickly. Everyone see it?
Yes.
All right, thanks. So we're going to start off with public comment, and then we're going to go into the department updates. At the moment, Director Ogilvy is not able to join us right now, so hopefully he'll come in sometime during this meeting. But if not, you will definitely get to meet him at another time. He had another meeting. Sorry about that conflict. We're going to go through department updates, have open conversation and Q&A with the board, talk through a couple action items, and then we will adjourn the meeting. All right. So for department updates, or do we have any public comments? I should start there. We requested that they be sent in via email just so this can flow a little differently. And we also have the customer service line available for those who wanted to call in and give public comment.
We did not.
There were no comments submitted.
Okay. All right. So we can go into department updates, starting with Mr. Larry Smith.
Thank you, Mickey. Good morning, all. Again, as we know, throughout this COVID process, a lot of things have changed throughout DDOT. The way we are facilitating our service, the biggest update is that last Monday, we started kind of launching off the pilot where we tried to increase our service on some of our impacted lines. Previously, we were running a Saturday schedule, which of course our headways during that Saturday schedule were anywhere from 40 to 60 minutes on average. Now, as of last week, what we were able to do was, thanks to Ricky and our data and reporting department, which was able to provide us with some kind of key data that allowed us to look closer at some of our routes that had our highest complaints, overcrowding, things of that nature. So what we were able to do was identify our top 8 routes that reflected the highest amount of overcrowding. So basically allow us to kind of keep those social distancing processes in order. If you aren't aware, as of right now, we are confined to 10 riders on a 40-foot coach and then 15 riders on an articulated coach for social distancing. So with that, as you can imagine, the buses kind of fill up pretty quickly there, and especially on our high alert routes, such as your Woodward 7 Mile, 8 Mile, Grand River, Greenfield, just to name a few, we were able to place our manpower on those lines to kind of increase how these buses are flowing. In addition to that, we launched off a real-time update pilot, which is allowing us to put our road supervisors out on the road, working hand in hand with our dispatch office as well as customer service, who is providing us updates when complaints are coming in and trying to make real-time adjustments in regards to what we see out there. Because at the end of the day, we are running a Saturday schedule as our base. But for some customers that may be standing out there, we can kind of get some answers a little quicker to them, whether it's pulling a bus or having a bus on standby and allowing them to get out to that line to facilitate where we see that there are a lot of passengers that are currently waiting to board the bus. So we have implemented that, and as of right now, I can be the first one to say it's not exactly where we would like it to be. It's still a work in progress to kind of see where we can pull and plug and make sure that things are running as smooth as they can at this time. But as of right now, I will admit it's not where we would like it to be, but we're doing everything that we can to facilitate and make sure that we're boosting up service as things are opening up and as the governor's stay-at-home orders are relaxed as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be maintenance, Larry Luckett.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm glad to see everybody and glad to see everybody's in good health. Just a few things in vehicle maintenance. As Larry Smith said, this pandemic is not the normal. Maintenance, right now, we have a couple maintenance personnel still off due to COVID. We didn't lose anybody due to the COVID, so thank God. So everybody is doing pretty well. We did a couple of things we did to the buses. We added a chemical called agents which is a antivirus type shield. So we wipe down all the coaches with that product to ensure that any virus or anything of that nature come in contact with it, it'll kill it. This product's supposed to last for a year. In addition to that, we are have increased our cleaning efforts and our sanitizing efforts. We hired a additional cleaning crew at the garages to help my staff with the efforts of cleaning and sanitizing buses. We have a crew midday, and then we have a crew at night. So we're touching buses 3-4 times a day. We also have a professional crew that we've contracted at some of our end of the line locations, where when the driver pull up, take their little break, they'll get on, wipe down all the high touched areas. And we do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 7-8 locations. Those locations were based on the amount of service going through those end of the lines. So that's what we based it on. We couldn't get to all of our end of the lines. So, but we're doing everything we can to ensure that the public is safe and also our staff. We're doing temperature checks as the employees come in the morning. They're filling out a questionnaire. They practicing social distancing. They're not visiting each other at toolboxes. They're not huddling up. If we have a meeting of any type, we, do a round circle and keep our distance. So overall, the morale was a little down, but it's coming back now. And I can say the mechanics through this pandemic has been doing a great job, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Chief Brown.
Again, good morning, everyone. I have a couple of quick issues. One is there is a transit police number published for the public. It is 313-833-9836. Now, this number is answered by administrative staff during business hours, and on non-business hours, it has a voicemail. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've received several voicemails from passengers who are standing on a line and they just start talking into it, and they have issues with DDOT coaches. The problem is they will call and sometimes they don't leave numbers, but when they do, I will make a point to call them back and advise them that the complaint number for DDOT is 313-933-1300. This number provides them the ability to lodge a complaint, which is put in the system and is immediately investigated by DDOT. That's a better resource for them as far as missing coaches. The transit number is strictly for transit police business. And if there is an issue of criminality on a bus or bus stop, I'm directing the public to dial 911 immediately, and Detroit Police Dispatch will dispatch a transit car to the incident. So it's a better response and it's more efficient for people to use the complaint number for complaints and transit number for criminal business. Transit business and 911 for criminal activity in process. Second, I'd like to recommend all the members, passengers, and friends and family to continue to wear masks. And if they don't have one, get one on the bus until further notice for the safety of themselves, the passengers, and the drivers. A lot of people don't realize that they could be actually COVID positive and not show any symptoms. So this is a matter of respect and comfort for all the passengers, other passengers and drivers, to feel like we all care for one another and we're keeping all of us safe. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Josh? You're muted, Josh.
Good morning, everybody. I couldn't agree more with customer service and making sure that the calls run through the 933-1300. We're working diligently with data, especially right now with the COVID-19 and trying to rework some of these routes. And we really need those concerns and complaints to come through customer service. Then Ricky and his team and data collects that data, and then we send that back off to operations so they can actually effectively look at what routes, you know, people are having issues on. And not only do we always get complaints, but we get compliments too. So we really need those people to call through there. But with customer service, we've just been working diligently trying to collect all the data where those routes are having challenges, and then getting that data back to operations so they can evaluate, you know, what our best options are and trying to get these passengers picked up and moved around and shortening up the deadheads. So thanks to operations and data on that. Paratransit, we're literally dissecting our current RFP that we have with that we have out there. That expires at the end of this coming year. We're collecting other data and RFP information from Community Transportation Association of America, CATA out of Lansing, and a few others. Just looking at, you know, who's doing a real successful job at paratransit and what we need to change. Certainly with COVID-19, we've had to change a lot. They're really trying to, you know, make sure everybody's wearing masks, like the chief said. The drivers are wearing PPE. They're sanitizing the vehicles. They're taking less passengers at a time, which kind of affects, you know, how many people can get picked up and when, but they're doing everything they can to minimize how many people are in the vehicles. We're reviewing our New Freedom spend down. So once COVID is over, hopefully, you know, we can get New Freedom ramped back up. Both New Freedom and Paratransit, we've extended everybody's applications, and any new applications that come in, we just operate under the assumption that they qualify, at least until COVID's over, things return to somewhat normal, and then we can start processing applications. But currently, right now, nobody's turned away, and we're just accepting those applications as they come in. And I believe that's about it for that. I mean, there is some a customer service and satisfaction survey that's out there, but I'll let the departments touch base on that. That kind of ties into some of the other things we're trying to accomplish today. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Alicia? You're muted.
I hate when that happens. Compliance, we're just reviewing new policies that's in place due to the COVID-19. And also we're looking at practices that we put in as far as the Title VI to ensure that no one, no individual or anyone in our community experience any type of discrimination based on, you know, these protests, things like that that's going on. No discrimination take place based on race, color, national origin, or disability. So that's pretty much what we're working on. We will be sending a survey to the committee, the commissioners, to ask for information that's required for our Title VI plan. We just ask that you do complete the application. It's the committee application. And we will be using that data to report to FTA that our committees are made up of our community. So you should be seeing that sometime this week. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to the regulatory officer that's going to be sending that email out to you. Other than that, that's all we have.
Bryce?
Hi, everyone. I'm Deanna Donahue, the Grants and Planning Coordinator. I'm actually going to give the update For grants, DDOT has executed the CARES Act funding. That's the funding from FTA that's going to help us continue our operations through the pandemic. DDOT plans to use this money to help with cleaning buses and anything to help maintain safety during the crisis. So, planning activities, preventative maintenance, all of those activities. Also, DDOT is in the very early stages of the Coolidge terminal rebuild. Very early stages. We're currently just going through the programming and design phase to know what the facility build out will eventually look like. The facility have been inactive since the fire in 2011, as many of you know. But once it is rebuilt, it will increase the department's capacity as far as being a bus terminal and maintenance facility. That's all I have for grants.
Thanks, Deanna. Gina?
Yes.
Okay, right now, everything that Larry Smith said is going on, and right now we're getting ready to work on the September schedule. How that will look, we don't know. There's a discussion that has to happen with operations, vehicle maintenance, and the executive director until further notice. By the time the next meeting we'll have some information for you. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in with an update. We are working on a rider survey that we are planning to execute and get out to the public this week. And I'll be sending that around to make sure you all have it. And then as board members, you're also able to help us get it out to your communities and your districts. And this survey is just really to better understand who's using transit right now during COVID, to understand how they're traveling, assuming that their travels may have changed based on, where they're going, what hours they're traveling, how frequently they're traveling, things like that. And we're also going to get some information on their perception of DDOT during this time. So we have a couple questions on there. And then also how we're reaching them. So how are they getting the updates from us? How did they find out that we were providing masks on the bus? How did they find out that we were running Saturday service? And then how they would like to get information from us. So a couple of different things we're hoping to get from this survey. It'll be available online, so we will be promoting it pretty heavily through our social media and our website, but we will also have hard copies available at Rosa Parks Transit Center as well. So look out for that, and that is my update. So next we can do Jennifer.
All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mickey. You already touched on that. That was number one on my list of updates. So that survey will go out hopefully this week, and we'll keep it open until we get enough census of information to pull from. Eventually, the information from the survey will be on our website. So eventually, we'll collect the data, and it will be available for the public for transparency. A couple things in marketing. One of the main things is the website. I've been talking about this for a while now. COVID has definitely taken a lot of the timing away from getting this accomplished, is the website refresh. There are a couple pages that we do have live now in which you can get more information, especially as it pertains to COVID. And that is the Responding to COVID-19 page on our website. So if you go there, that will be the best place to get all information related to transit, news releases, the current public events, and so forth on that page. In addition to that, we do have on a homepage now easily accessible link to opt into newsletter. So we definitely stress that with all of you on the call today, as well as our public audiences, to really opt into the email newsletter, because not only should be receiving the mayor's COVID-related updates, you will also get DDOT updates as well. We do have an upcoming monthly community input meeting this Thursday, June 18th at 5 p.m. So we hope to see everyone there. It will be virtual. as many of our meetings going forward will continue to be virtual until further notice. A couple other things that were in the works is we have an interactive map that will eventually go live to also help our riders identify COVID-related resources, testing sites, hospitals, where you can get meals from, etc. And it will be connected with some of our real-time bus information. Let's see what else here. We're also working on a safety promotions campaign, which will be launching soon. We want to reiterate the tireless effort and work from our maintenance teams and just everyone really on this call about how much DDOT has and continues to put forth with cleaning of our buses and sanitation of the inside of our buses. So we have some other things in the works regarding that piece. I won't go into everything, it's a lot, but those are the main things from marketing. And again, we can't stress this enough. Please contact customer service through the 313-933-1300. There is a difference with the two numbers, as Chief Brown and Josh already expressed. That information is on the website as well. And last but not least, I also want to reiterate, any push that we could do on the from a grassroots efforts, we would definitely like to partner with all of the board members here. We definitely need a more push of communications in general. It's been hard for us because our print shop is down. We currently are not doing or limiting interactions that we're doing regarding our traditional pieces of communication, but would love to hear what any suggestions or recommendations from the board members today on this call. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Sandra, did you have an update?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to share with everyone that we have our simulator in. So the simulators were delivered on last week, and our OTC, that's our Operations Training Center, staff are being trained this week by the contractor. So it was I think it was a $1.4 million purchase. So they're state-of-the-art simulators where our student drivers and any drivers that need retrain will actually be able to sit in this piece of equipment, and it will simulate the streets of the city of Detroit. And it will show them how to operate the bus if they had an accident. It will recreate that accident to show them what they may have been able to do differently. So we're really excited to announce that. But there's training that will go forth this week, and they will be used in service the following week. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ricky.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? So I know that I have several things. I know that the big one is that Transit app is up. I know we're doing quality assurance on an everyday basis and making sure that the feed is correct, but I know that Mickey, you've been asking a lot about that, and Patty, I know that you've been passing that along. So hopefully that's something that everybody's excited about, and the connectivity is improving every day, and it is directly connected with our buses. I know that was important. The executive director made it important. I know that we've heard in community input meetings, so it's going to get better and better on a daily basis. The next thing also I think a lot of people are wondering about and excited about is our technology upgrade. I do hate to say that the pandemic has had a big impact on vendors being able to come here and be able to do work on implementing, but through a little bit of behind the scenes work and some implementation remotely, we are looking at hopefully a implementation within the next couple months or so, but any modules that we can get running, so like the connectivity to Transit app, etc., we try to roll those out and not wait for the go live or the ribbon cutting at that time. We're trying to get them out behind the scenes. There were some concerns about volume level on the coaches. I know that that's come up in a couple community meetings. We are working on that. We finalized the plan, and we're going to work with our different departments to try to get a sweet spot so that's not too loud or too soft. I guess, kind of Goldilocks, right? You don't want to get it too loud or too soft, so we're trying to figure out a method for that, and we should have that up and running. And then I did want to kind of piggyback on what customer service and operations said, just for the assurances of the commissioners on the call. Both customer service and operations have not only asked consistently for data in order to improve service, they've done it at a regular cadence. So it's that kind of, almost routine level of using the data and making sure that an impact is being made is coming from customer service and operations. So hats off to them. And you know, they're also looking at it from perspective of to try to get more wins and try to do it quickly. They're asking for where they can place the least amount of resources they have to get the most amount of impact, because as we all know, everybody's resources are impacted this time. So hats off to them, because they're really trying to make a concerted effort and trying to get as much done with as, you know, much impact on the resources that they have going on. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else I missed from DDOT to give an update? Okay, so now we're gonna go into the great part, the fun part while we're all here, the conversation piece, and that's also a Q&A, so this will be open for all of you wonderful board members. I see Mr. Harris and Mr. Hines are on the phone, so I'm gonna unmute you both, and that'll allow you to talk. But just to keep, you know, preventing people from talking over each other and this getting a little complicated, I'm gonna once again just call on people. So unmuting Mr. Harris and Mr. Hines. Then I'm gonna start with Ms. Edna, because you're who I see first. So if you have any questions or if you just wanna comment on anything that we've discussed or anything differently, feel free.
You did call Edna, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any questions at this time. I'm looking forward to when this whole COVID thing is over, because I'd love to see this whole simulation process that we have and what the drivers are experiencing. I know it's not possible now, and I wouldn't want to even engage at this point, but at some point I would hope that we would get an opportunity to see what the simulator looks like and how it works and it's benefiting the drivers and the students.
Absolutely.
Consuela?
So I've been working with a couple of youth and young adults that have been attending the protest at police safety headquarters. And a couple of things have come up as a relationship to DDOT and Detroit Public Schools Police Department. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to be pulling these youth and young adults together as the specific complaints are in relationship to particular officers or other situations that are happening before they get to the bus stop or at the bus stop. That's a safety issue. So I'm pulling it together with 4824, which is an organization that's does a lot of advocacy and education, and a couple of other grassroots organizations, but mostly these are things that are led by youth and young adults. Mostly the youth are all under the age of, they're all high school and middle school. So once I get all of that information, I'll pull you all together so we can have a Zoom meeting. The idea is for them to just list some of their issues and problems that they've had and some solutions that hopefully we can meet them where they are and apply them into what our new normal, as we create our new normal to be. It's important to include their voice in this whole process. So, and then the second thing is there's a lot of changes since the last time we all met and whatnot. And so I'm concerned about what is our collective goal as commissioners and what is the goal, especially with COVID kind of changing how we operate and how we see things and how we're going to be doing things. And so I'm wondering, like, generally, what is our goal as for DDOT or just transportation for the city? Are we all saying the same story? Does transportation mean the same thing for everyone? And does safe transportation, does it mean the same thing? Are we really getting it? So I ask that because of the surveys that you're sending out and whatnot, and we want to capture those voices. But some questions, if we don't know to ask them, we don't understand the impact it may be having on community members at this time, especially as we move forward in the fall, not knowing what we're going to do. So that's about it for me. I just want to know, like, what is our goal as a collective And what is our transportation goal as a collective? Not just DDOT, but even including the mayor's office. Are they in sync? But most importantly, are those in sync with what the community want and need? And that's it.
Thank you. I think that's a great point, and I'll maybe move that down to action items, but I do think it's worth us communicating with the board members to get your input on, how your experience has been on the board. What would you like to see done differently? And what is your vision for this board? So I think now with this group in place will be a good time to just circle back on what we've been doing and where you would like to see it go. And I think you all as active board members will be a great place to start and get some of that information and perspective from you.
Ms. Taylor Hendricks.
Yes.
Hi, I want to interject something real quick, if I may.
Yes.
Okay, again, this is Chief Brown. I want to start off by saying good morning to Ms. Lopez. Welcome to the meeting. And for those of you who don't know, Ms. Lopez is very instrumental and shows a lot of leadership in the human trafficking issue that is facing the world, not just this country, but the world. And she has formulated a lot of things, and she has a great interest and a genuine concern for young people, old people, and anyone who's being trafficked. So I want to thank her for her efforts, and we'll continue pushing forward with it as a group. And also, I want to just bring it up that the current executive staff of DDOT has met, along with myself and some of my staff, with one of the high schools in the area regarding children behavior on coaches and that. So, and we also had DPS members who set the meeting up and attended. So it was a concerted effort for us to address some problems with students. Going forward, we're going to continue. We have some plans, some ideas and things like that. And I think it's important to get in front of the students like we did before, with a full participation of the student body at an assembly, and to have someone such as yourself who is directly involved, a community leader, an advocate, and everything else, to stand there with us and talk and communicate with the students may go a long way to bridging that gap. Because just hearing from us, sometimes they'll turn us off, but hearing from someone standing next to us who feels and sees and hears them may open that dialogue to a point where it may be successful. So I want you to participate. I'm overstepping my bounds, but I don't care. So the DDOT admin will get with you and we'll make it happen, okay? All I care about is safety out there for everyone. And it goes a long way to prevent it at the very onset with conversation, communication. So thank you. And that's all I want to say.
And may I just add, Chief, no, you are not overstepping your boundaries. I did have a brief conversation with Mr. Oglesby about that, just that, because you and I were the ones that teamed up to do that, along with Larry Smith, and we're going to unpin that. So this is a great opportunity for you to have announced that. So we will be able to move forward and work together again, along with our board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
Thank
Henderson.
you, Ricky.
Mickey?
Yes.
Real quick, this is Josh. Back to Ms. Lopez's comments about vision. We just so you know, we just organized a visionary committee and with everything that you want to see. You know, what's our vision? Where's DDOT want to go? What's the mayor's vision? So we'll be able to report back on that.
Looking forward to it.
Mr. Henderson.
Okay, I have 2 or 3 concerns. One, are people continue to ride the bus free? Is it still free to ride the bus?
Yes, it is. We are not collecting fare at this time. It is still free.
Okay, when will that change? Do you know?
As of right now, that is not projected to change until we, I'm looking can speak more to this in regards to our shields that will be installed on the bus that will create that barrier between the driver and the passenger. As of right now, until that is completed, that is the date in which we will be looking to complete that. So we're actually a couple months out from that.
Okay, my second question is, I I think it was to Mr. Smith. You say you have 10 or 15 people riding the bus. Are those buses running behind each other? Because if you start at the fairground, it seems as though you'll have 10 or 15 people before you get a mile down the road. So are the buses running behind each other? If one bus passes you, you can see another one coming. Is that the way that works?
So the way it works as of right now, and I'm thankful that you asked that question, because previously that wasn't the way it was going. They were following the Saturday schedule, and then as need be, we would try to plug and play where we could. Now, because we actually have our road supervisors, they are back to full staff. So we have, an adequate amount of them out there on the road to kind of see where our heavy areas are, as well as trying to be proactive. Because what we were able to do is follow some trends with the data that Ricky and his team has provided to us. So if we can see what the trend is, that, hey, on this day at this time, X amount of people board the bus at this location, that's what we've been trying to implement. And it has helped us, because previously, just so you know, previous to last week, we were averaging 12 reports of overcrowding on buses per day. Last week, we averaged 3 to 4. So by being able to implement that and kind of get buses spaced out, and more so not necessarily having the buses coming right behind each other, but as we see where that overcrowding is, because as you would imagine, we don't want to have operational waste. So you don't want to have, buses that are riding around without anyone on it, when we can have those buses stationed elsewhere. So that has been our goal and what we are doing right now. So as you will see, they aren't coming right back to back, but as those complaints come in and as we continuously monitor it, we can send those buses to the areas that have our highest ridership.
Okay, so someone working with the school system, just in case if school does start back, because usually they are peak hours when you have lots of students riding who need to get somewhere by a specific. So is someone, we don't know if school is going to start, but is someone working with the schools to see where they are and to have buses? Is that something you're working on?
So that is something that we look forward to, and we do get the bell times, different things of that nature, and that will go into effect with our fall schedule, which is what Gina Schofield alluded to, is what we're working on and piecing that together now. But that still reflects to what our peak hours are. Peak hours are still 6 to 9 a.m. and still 3 to 6 p.m., which is around that time frame when more students are getting on the bus, as well as more people are trying to get to work.
Okay, back to the cleaning of the buses. You say there's some bus routes that you clean most of the day, and I guess there's some others that you clean maybe once a day. Is that the way that works?
No, we've identified 8 locations where we have staff stationed there 24 hours a day. So every time a bus goes to the end of the line, they jump on that bus, wipe down all the high touch areas, sanitize it, then the bus continuing route.
So I'm over on the east side here. So it's St. John, I think, is the hospital there on 7 Mile Road. That's a turnaround there. So someone would be there to clean the bus?
Yes.
Okay.
St. John's is one of the locations. Fairlane, State Fair.
I'm just interested in the east side.
Okay. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Patty, hello.
Hi, just I guess I want to start, and this usually isn't the place I start, is just to say thank you to all of you, because it's been absolutely crazy, and I just appreciate everything from it. You've had to deal with the budget cuts, the mayor, the everything. I would, I guess, paraphrase with everything that was just said. Thank you for going out of bounds. Thank you for pushing yourselves, and just, it's been crazy. And in many areas, DDOT's been a leader in trying to set stuff up and kind of showing the world where to go, especially since, our city got hit so hard. So I just, everything, else I have to say is really kind of minor to that. And I know you're not hearing it much. And actually there was a ridiculous Detroit News article. There's been a lot of, that kind of stuff. So I just want you to know, if somebody notices that you may be making yourself crazy, but I appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you. Now on to the other stuff. I know our new director has made he's made a lot of promises, and I mean, it's great to listen to, but I know we've all been around a little longer than that. I wish he were on this call. If there's one thing you can ask him about, is everything that he tells us is going to improve. I'd love to see a timeline on it so I know when to pester him about it. So if that's something you can pass along, that would be really appreciated. I appreciate learning about the transit app, and actually I was just looking at it now. I couldn't quite hear out the window whether the Van Dyke was going by exactly at the right time, but if somebody can just give me a nod here or respond in more detail that the transit app really should be accurate now. I just want to make sure and hear that.
Yeah, we're at the point now where we have 30-minute predictability pretty much at 100%. Yeah, so I think that if you're within that window, it should be pretty good. We're working with the tech team to try to improve the amount of outgoing predictability, because it is a resource drain on what we have. But you know, we're moving it out further and further as it goes, and underneath it, we should have the actual published schedule built into it under that. So, you know, it's a combination, like a hybrid of both, and we're seeing improvements every day on it.
Okay. All right. Cool. Hey, and
I would like. I could add to that as well. Customer service now uses bus time, and now that we have 100% of our new buses out there, when clients are calling and we're trying to navigate them through our system, it's much easier and much better service for them. So know that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And just so I can understand the level of service too, okay, you know, of course, everywhere we've got Saturday service, and then in about 10 routes, I haven't actually counted them up. What would you say, is it the regular weekday service that we'd expect in the summer for the rest of the routes, or is there some other way to describe it?
So the best way to describe it, you actually hit the nail on the head. You still have Saturday headways on all routes with the, you know, outside of your Connect 10s, and then your Dexter and 8 Mile, which are not considered a Connect 10, but they reflect our highest ridership. So you can expect those routes to more so mirror what you would see during the weekday, whether it's, you know, a 15 to 30-minute headway on those routes.
Okay, and does the schedule, and I haven't compared any schedules, but do the schedules reflect this uptick in service that what's on the website?
Correct.
Okay, just checking so I know what's going on. And I have to tell you, it's tougher to be an advocate when I'm not out there riding all the time. So sometimes you might have to correct or poke at me a little bit, you know, because I'm not out there feeling it the same way I was. Now here's the big question too, and this is something that's really better for Director Oglesby, but you know, we've got this right now. When are things going to, when's the next step? So we've got, you know, sort of our biggest routes getting regular service. Is there somewhat of a hope of a schedule? And I realize this, you know, COVID could come and change anything at any moment, but is there a plan for the rest of it to come online, or to even improve to more than what we had on the busiest routes, particularly given that we can only, you know, we have to have all the social distancing?
Well, absolutely. So that actually is a 3-part fold. So, you know, the first piece is, of course, trying to manage the way the coronavirus is hitting, you know, as the impact changes, as well as abiding by as these stay-at-home orders are going and more businesses are opening up, and trying to make sure our service can reflect that of everything opening up. The second part is, of course, as I'm getting more drivers back myself that were affected by the coronavirus. So as they're coming back, I can kind of build things out and increase service more so on those lines, and it kind of gives me, you know, some extra pieces to play with there. But as of right now, the next schedule change that we're looking at will still be in the fall. So everything that we're doing right now, as far as seeing different ways we can monitor our service, testing out different ways that I can place different people, you know, the data that Ricky is providing with us, how is that allowing us to be proactive with decisions that we're making, not just in regards to the routes, but more so in regards to our heavy hit areas. Because it's one thing to just monitor a route, but it's another thing now that we have the data to show that, hey, in this, you know, instead of just monitoring all 7 Mile, hey, you know what, we have an influx of passengers that get on and off at 7 in Evergreen. So I can put manpower to monitor that specific area. So, this is the time where we're able to, it's kind of like we say, it's a gift and a curse, because since things are so slow, it allows us the opportunity to kind of play around and kind of look at what we can do to improve when things are ramped back up. So we can test different measures, put different policies in place that will go into effect once things open all the way back up. But as of right now, that next change you will see will be in September, which is when, our next schedule is, scheduled to go into place. But again, as we weigh this thing out, we could see something come down where, hey, we see another spike in this thing, and we'll still have to manage that as it comes along. So of course, as you know, no 2 days in transit are the same. So you just have to, you got to be able to manage it as it comes and kind of take the punches where they are.
Okay, so to sum up part of it's that we're going to still be on a baseline Saturday schedule until September for other than the top 10 +2 routes.
That is correct. As of right now, that's the way it looks. And then, of course, as I'm able to get other drivers back, any announcements that come out into where we can increase that, that multimedia message will go out from our marketing department as we can make those updates. But as of right now, your base is the Saturday schedule.
Okay, and so it's still all highly dependent on how many drivers we have. We're kind of back to that same problem.
Correct. It is that, and of course, in competition with the social distancing orders that we have to abide by.
Okay. And I was wondering too, kind of ramped up the commission. I don't know if there could be just names, phone numbers, addresses of all the commissioners to send it to each other so we can talk to each other easier. If that could be emailed, that would be really helpful. And as far as the Clever being implemented, like I said, number one, I'm very delighted that we've got a transit app we can actually follow and use, and thank you. Are there other parts of Clever that, are still being implemented that you see even, more improvements through the system?
A lot of them we've already spoke about. I think they're not ones that are customer facing, but they give us agility as as administration and supervisory staff. So being able to know where the buses are, customer service is able to be more informed when callers call in. Some of the things that you'll see, and I don't want to quote because these are also dependent upon vendors having some difficulties getting to us. A lot of the customer facing stuff you see, it's hardware related and it's technical, and there are certain technicians that have to put it together for us. We don't unfortunately have all of that in-house staff that, it's very specialized, vendor specific specialized stuff. So that's some of the things you won't be able to see until later on. But I will tell you that primarily anything we can get that's rolled out, our IT team has been diligent, been on point when it comes to putting that together, because you can see that affecting the service capability in the background, so.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Yeah, I think that's most of what I had. And then once again, everybody, just thank you for, surviving all this stuff. So anyway, turn it back to Mickey. Thanks.
And can I just say something, Miss Patty? On behalf of Mr. Oglesby, it was his intention to be on this meeting. It was very important to him, but he was called away to City Council to discuss some budgetary matters, things that they're going to have to approve, and they wanted to talk with him about it. So that is the only reason that he wasn't here today to speak with you and answer some of those questions. But it was his intention, and we are all taking notes, and we'll share that information, those things that you wanted to hear directly from him, okay?
Yeah, no worries, and thank you.
Thanks, Patty. Thanks, Anja. Mr. Hines, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. You want to go ahead and have any questions or comments?
No, I don't have any questions, but the comment is I'd like to thank the DDOT staff for giving us first support and just keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Andy?
Hello. Had to find the unmute button there. No, I've been listening along. Everything sounds excellent. I mean, we're wrangling with a big challenge here, and I'm amazed by how well DDOT's been able to wrangle with that with such little resource. So just happy to hear all the progress.
Mickey, you were on mute. Oh, we didn't hear you.
Mr. Harris, are you on?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. I'd just like to say kudos to the entire DDOT staff for their efforts in making transit operators effective and efficient under the current conditions. I also have a question for Mr. Luckett. I know he said that they had a product that they were using on the coaches that was good for a year, and I was trying to see what, I didn't understand the name of that product.
Mr. Harris, that product is called Angus, ANGIS.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to reach out to you anyway because I want to get some information on that. Also, for Mr. Smith, you mentioned that they were in the process of trying to put shields around for the drivers. Do they have a vendor in mind, or is it a local vendor?
While I don't know the absolute name of it, Luckett would be able to name who the vendor is that is providing those shields for us.
Well, we have identified a particular shield, if you will, that we think the drivers, along with DDOT staff, that's conclusive to, of course, security is one, and then covert is the second piece of it. And this shield that we're pursuing is made by a company called Vapor. And it is a very robust type security door with a power window. It's pretty heavy duty. The big caveat to this is that shield and that door should be in a closed position at all times. So basically, the operator won't have the opportunity of driving that coach with that shield in the open position. He can let the window down, but it is pretty heavy duty.
Okay, thank you. I've been an advocate for a shield around the drivers for like 30 years, so I'm glad to hear that. My last question is, I noticed that the simulator is in. Who's over training now, and how long is the training process? If somebody could answer that.
Okay. For you, when you say training, you mean training, who are we referring, training the trainers that are going to be?
Yeah, for the drivers.
Okay, so currently we have 8 people who are working in the training division, and we have 1 acting supervisor. The acting supervisor is Brian Miller in that division.
Okay. Brian Miller?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He's our acting supervisor right now.
Okay. Do you know, have they changed the time limit for the training, or is it still the same?
So you mean for the drive, when we have students? When students come on, is that what you're referring to? No, we haven't. No, we have not changed the time for students to be trained. They have a portion of time in the classroom, and then they have a portion of time when they're on the road, and then they go in route service. So it's about the same.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So that was everybody. That was all the board members. So I think the director is coming in shortly, so he will get the opportunity to say hello, and then we can go back to any questions for him. But in the meantime, while he's joining, the next item on the agenda is action items. And this is something that I snuck in. But this, I wanted to just be able to say, you know, what we took from this meeting. If there were any requests and anything that we weren't able to answer, we can follow up with you. So I'm gonna just read off what I have. Also, Sharon Perry is taking notes, so we will be able to send out minutes. That's something I think we may have not done in the past, so we'll get back on that. But one thing for sure to take away that I want to make sure Josh mentioned, but I'll reiterate it. We are working on right now coming up with the vision for DDOT. It's pretty short term, so we're looking at the next 5 years. And this is the director's opportunity to say, hey, y'all have been here. What were you working on? What do you think we need? And then for him to chime in and say, all right, this is what I see. This is what's going on. Here's my 2 cents. And then we can also get the thoughts of the mayor and make sure as a collective and as a department, we're moving forward, moving in the right direction. And kind of as you mentioned, Consuelo, make sure that everybody knows what that direction is. So we are working on that. And then the survey, again, will be coming out pretty shortly. So this is a writer survey. We want to hear from those who are currently using transit and who have been writing since the beginning of COVID to better understand them. We will ask you all to help us get that survey out. We are limited on how we can get that survey out due to the fact that we're still practicing social distancing. So we will be very appreciative if you all can help us communicate that information. And then, I don't know if this was Patty or Consuela, but I will go ahead and send out an email to all the board members just so you all can have each other's contact information. And I'll include in that a couple questions just to get your thoughts as board members on this particular group and on this meeting, what you find useful, what you would like us to improve, what your thoughts are, and what your experience has been, so we can continue to make improvements here as well. And then I see Consuela.
Yeah, I wanted to get if Andy is still here, I want to give a community shout out to Andy and all his hard work during this COVID and making sure that community members and law enforcement got the materials they need to help them to be protected. I was watching you. I'm not a social media troll, but I was following you. So thank you for everything that you've done as a community member.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's been nice to be useful during this whole thing. You know, producing a few thousand gallons of cheap hand sanitizer a day. Actually in the shop right now. We're in the middle of production.
That's right, Detroit go-getters.
We get it done.
Thank you. That was it.
Okay, and Mr. Oglesby is here, so I will turn it over to him.
Uh-oh, I just clicked on. Did I get caught? What happened?
Take it away.
Well, what do you want me to do? I'm sorry, but by the way, I apologize. The city council actually had me on their agenda and questioned me for a long time. So I got off and immediately jumped on. So again, I apologize. What did I miss? A lot?
Mickey, you're
muted.
Muted, Mickey.
Worst thing ever. I do want you to have the opportunity to meet the board members here. So if you want to go ahead and give an introduction first, your spiel, and then I would like the board members to go back around, say what district, your name, and then how you got involved or what your role is in connection and passion is for transit. If you just want to do a quick
Go ahead. Okay, good. I like the way you said that, my spiel. That was interesting. No, actually, hi, everybody. It's an honor to say hello to you all. We have a lot going on. There have been a lot of, we're trying to do a lot of small changes as it comes to this pandemic, I'm sure. If you talked about any of the recent changes that took place last Monday, or if you talked about the barriers coming up, you know, the future is bright. We're looking at paratransit also to try to tighten that up and see where things are. I just had a full conversation about that. We're trying to make sure that the buses are clean. So right now, the big focus is, though we have a big vision for DDOT moving forward, our big focus is how do we operate today, and how do we operate, you know, with the new normal, and how are we going to operate in the future? So a little bit about myself. Well, most of you probably have either heard that I'm on board, but I'm the new Executive Director of Transit, which oversees both DDOT, People Mover, the police, and Chief of Mobility. I've been spending a lot of time in DDOT because, as you know, the interim director had left. So we're really trying to tighten some things up and do things a little differently. You know, different isn't always bad. Sometimes it's good. Some things are fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the way I look at it. So we're really just kind of moving along and trying to figure out where we can improve DDOT and the DDOT service. Again, I don't want to go over a bunch of stuff that was already taken place, but one of the ways that we are able to improve the service last week was taking some lumps off of work share that actually deal with the day-to-day, which I believe was kind of weighing down the ability to deal with social distancing. Social distancing is a big challenge. Realistically, though, it doesn't matter how much we work on it until we try to do something differently. The way we're doing it now is a good supplement, which is increasing the headways on the highest ridership routes, which I'm sure you already went over. I can tell you them if not. And then pinpointing where the high ridership is based on data and real-time information from customer service and the road soups and dispatch, and doing it that way. That's okay right now because you know, it's not really as crowded. We do have a lot of riders on there. I think the last number was like 23,000 in one day. But we do have a lot of riders out there, but it isn't all the way to where we have everybody out there. So if we're kind of already struggling now, you could just imagine what it's like. So this is good practice. We need more drivers. We need to realize that instead of having 40 people in a bus, we can only have 10. So that alone is just a challenge. Just forget about everything else. That's a challenge. And we are just trying to trudge along and deal with the political aspects as there's more demand and they're opening up salons, barbershops, and all of this. I mean, these are our riders, you know, and it's starting to peak up. I haven't taken a good look at the numbers yet because it's kind of hard. I was talking to Ricky. We were trying to compare how well we were doing after a few days, and we realized we were comparing it to the week before, and the demonstration was going on. So, you know, the ridership was pretty high there. So, you know, we have a lot of moving parts happening, and we're just trying to move along. So I can just answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. Let's, we can go back around. So I'll start with Miss Edna.
Hi, my name is Edna Reeves. I represent District 1, and I believe she wanted to know how we got involved. I got involved with this board through the mayor because I brought a lot of concerns from Detroit Public Schools Community School District to his platform regarding the students, how they ride the bus, and I gave a bunch of ideas from research I had done around the country about how they allow their students to ride the bus. And just brought some concerns about this area where I live in District 1. And from there, I was appointed to this board somehow.
Great.
Thank you. Consuela.
Sorry. Someone was on, I guess, I don't know, a community member is on this call or sitting here. And they just sent me a message, so I was just trying to get to it. But anyway, hola, señor. My name is Consuelo Lopez. I'm District 6. I've been a commissioner, since 2013. And I'm also a commissioner with appointed by the governor too for the Hispanic Latino Affairs. And I also the co-chair for ALPAC, which is Advocates and Leaders for Community Trust for Southeast Michigan with the Michigan Department of Civil Rights and the governor's office. So I have my fingers everywhere, and I'm looking forward to seeing your vision for DDOT But most importantly, I want to see how that vision incorporates what the people of the city of Detroit wants and from their experiences. And so I'm looking forward to building and working with you.
Right. Perfect.
Mr. Henderson?
My name is Jay Henderson. I now know I'm in the 4th district. I was appointed by the mayor and I run 4 different groups on the east side. I run Riverbend Community Association, the Jefferson Chalmers area. I run the 5th Precinct Police Community Relation Council. And I run the most important group. I have a group of young men, boys to men, that I mentor. These young men are people that I try to bring other people like yourself, sir. Maybe you could come over to, well, you can't come to me, but maybe you can meet them sometime to see. I always say, if you see it, you can be it. So I try to make sure that the young men that I mentor see other men that are doing things that are good so they know that they can do it. So they know that they can do it also. Our biggest project coming up, I have Van Jones, Meek Mills, and T.I. coming in probably this week. And the thing that we're discussing, the school to prison pipeline and how to get some young men out of that system. So Father's Day, we're going to be getting some young men that are in the penal system out so that they can be home with their wives, mothers, or families, or whatever. But sir, it's going to be a pleasure to work with you, and it's good meeting you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Patty?
Hey, yeah, Mr. Oglesby, it's Patty Fido. We met before. Hello.
Yes, indeed.
I had 2 areas I had some questions. And the first one is what's your plan for hiring more drivers, and at what point do you think we're going to really not always be chasing drivers, actually have a full complement, and what your plan and a timeline is? And the second part would be, what's the plan? I know COVID, we're struggling, we're swimming, we're doing what we can, but what are your ideas and your plan, and when it'll be implemented for actually really increasing service?
2 loaded questions. Do you have any more? I know you do. Well,
I have lots, but that's what I have at the moment is, timelines and when we're getting more. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And good questions. As a matter of fact, I look forward to talking to you offline about this a little bit more, because the last time we met, I popped into the meeting right in the middle of the conversation, which I wish I was there at the beginning of it. So a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, finance was talking to you, but I think that you and I need to sit down and talk about some of that first of all. So let me get there. Let's get back to that, the numbers game sort of thing, because the more that I'm looking at it, you and I are actually asking the exact same questions. So we're on the same page. Okay, more drivers. Well, the driver thing is tricky, okay, because this is something that's been ongoing for a long period of time. In order to run the service, you need like 477 drivers to run it fully. We don't have that complement, so we offset it with overtime. Therefore, the overtime numbers are through the roof. But the service is getting along. I will tell you that there have been, since I've come on board, I've met with Hakeem Berry and the entire human resources staff to kind of get a grip on what's going on. Okay, we're paying a lot for we're paying for a lot of drivers, but we don't have a lot of drivers working. There are so many pieces to this puzzle. I won't dare get into it, but I will tell you that, let's say hypothetically, the last time I saw there was like 388 drivers available when we need 477. Right now, the reason why we have so many drivers available is because the PIC's getting ready to come up. And, this is linked to the union contract. And of course, a lot of people know how to play the union contract. And once the PIC happens in July, then we're going to have 260 drivers, right? So this problem isn't a matter of getting more operators. This is an issue of getting a grip on the operators that we have and how we can regulate this kind of blue flu in and out, FMLA plus, all that happy stuff. So there are behind the scenes meetings, and they're pretty exhausting to try to get a grip on where we are. The last time that I saw, we do have a dashboard now where operations puts the information in, human resources puts the information. We can see how many drivers we have available. That looks really good. I don't think it works. So what I'm doing is I'm questioning that now. You know, we're not letting HR off the hook, but then it goes back to a whole sort of how can we all work together to fix this problem. So again, we are moving forward in the meantime with two things. One, we're moving forward with, you know, getting drivers, right? So we're promoting, we're getting drivers, but I don't want to do a thing where we're just putting good on top of bad. So we are pushing to get more drivers, and they're coming along, but we're also pushing to find out what's really going on with the drivers that we have. And this has been something that's been going on for years. Way before I got here, I like to refer to it as BO, before Oglesby, right? But I will say that the best part about it is we're shedding a light on it. I think a lot of people complained and then went away. I'm not letting it go. So in short, I don't know when we're going to get a full grip on it, but we are in conversation to try to fix that problem. And plus the pandemic doesn't help much either. You know, the FMLA plus, so on and so forth. Not to mention, it's my understanding we're going to be the mayor's going to announce that then he's no longer going to be giving out hazard pay. So I have an idea that our attendance will drop again. You know, so this has nothing to do with getting more drivers. Now, the other part is union negotiations. We are in union negotiations, we're trying to get more money. But realistically, and I think you and I talked about this, what does that mean? That means that when the people come in, they're going to get more money, right? That's what you try to do. Up the amount to be similar or the same as our sister agency, okay? Well, even if we do that, there are other places, our competitors, that are telling these drivers to come to DDOT, get trained. We spend the $7,000, and then once you're done, we'll take you. So this is a whole kind of retention program that we have to look at. It's not about going out and getting drivers. And we don't really have a retention program in place, so we have to focus on that. So I think if we look at we fix the root of the problem and then go out and try to get drivers, I think we'll be better off. Not to mention, we have to have the barriers up. It has to be safe. We have to show that we care. There are all those things that were plopped on my desk that need to be addressed. So that's what I'm doing. It's a good thing I don't have hair, so that's good news. So you don't have to worry about it falling out. But that's really what keeps me up at night. You know, we have to get a grip on this. So you're touching on the right thing, but unfortunately, there's not one answer. I'm not going to give you a cookie cutter answer, which is we went out to get more drivers. We just trained 20. We have another 20 in the pipeline. That is all true, but that's not relevant to what your real question is, which is when is this madness going to stop? So the hamster is going to get out the wheel eventually, but right now we're running in the same place, and we're going to just keep pushing the envelope. HR is on top of it. The city's aware, Hakeem Berry's aware, and we are, again, going to have more meetings. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you asked that question. I just wrote a note down that I need to make sure we have another meeting this week. So either I end up being the person that pushes it or the most hated person because I keep bringing up something that's a pain, but we have to fix it. As far as increasing, okay, that's the first thing. Now, as far as increasing service, that one's tough because, you know, we have 288 vehicles right now. Back in the day, we had about 500 vehicles, and realistically, we need to be serving more of transportation. There's a whole history to why that got wiped out. I actually am familiar with the people who did it. So we do have to start looking at expansion. That's why we have Coolidge the size that it is. You know, it can house almost 220 buses when we're going to have 140 in there. You know, it's an opportunity. We're thinking about articulated vehicles, electric vehicles, moving forward with something bigger and looking at more service. We're going to start looking at that once we get our house in order. Okay, you don't expand until we get everything where it needs to be. One, we need to do a comprehensive operations analysis of some type and to really take a look at the service that we have. Most likely it's going to say it looks like this hand when it should look like this hand. Hopefully it'll be together. But and then once we take a look at that and we look at our resources, then we start with a plan. I do have a capital improvement transit plan concept in front of me. It looks great. It was worked on by our head of mobility, but from a realistic standpoint, we don't have the funding or the ability to move forward with that plan operating the way that we do today. So we have to operate differently. And those are the things that we are going to start looking at as staff. But being new here, I mean, I've only been here, I'm going on a little after a month now. I'm trying to get staff to look at things differently. And I think everybody's open to look at things differently, because if we continue to do the same thing, you know what happens, right? It's the same old thing. So we have to give it a shot. So really, instead of talking about the vision moving forward of Detroit, I rather look at it as the vision of what Detroit needs with what we have right now and how to do it well, and then start advancing it. So that's a long-winded way of basically saying that we're going to be working on a plan, but we're going to take it one piece at a time and do it the right way and fix what needs to be fixed and not fix what doesn't need to be fixed. Fair enough? Good?
Great,
Okay.
thank you. Mr. Hines?
Hey, yo. Yes. Good afternoon. How are you?
Fantastic.
I like that BO. Let's see how it goes with when you turn into the AO after over. But I don't have anything to say. But welcome aboard. Thank you very much for that information you just passed along.
Thank you.
Mr. Harris, you want to give a brief intro? Mr. Harris, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, good morning. Brian Harris, I from District 2. I've been on the Board of Commissioners since 2003, after I retired as a district superintendent for the Department of Transportation. And I look forward to meeting you and speaking with you on a few subjects. But one thing you touched on was the retention program. And I was wondering, I think the police department had a retention program where they had people sign off and they would have to reimburse if they left the department. I don't know how effective that was, but you might want to look into that. But other than that, you know, I just really look forward to meeting you and talking to you on a few subjects. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, that was probably one of the first things I said coming on board, right? You spend $7,000 and then they leave. We have to put something in place to fix that. There are other places and various ways to do it. I'm just learning the way DDOT does it right now, and then I'm trying to learn what we can and can't do. I don't want to come in heavy-handed and say this is what needs to be done. But yeah, that's part of a retention program, right? If you stay for a year, you know, and that goes back to union negotiations too. After a year, if you get a large sum, you know, you get a big jump in your wage or a larger jump in your wage, you have those two things together will keep people for at least the first year to realize that you can make a living as an operator, you know. So yeah, retention plan is big. Also earlier, I know that Jay Henderson had mentioned some of the things that he's doing with the Boys to Men thing. I think that's pretty neat. I've been involved with something similar. It was called Skills for Life, where I've talked to a lot of kids about the 3 C's, you know, costume, character, communication, and I'd be very interested in hearing more about that program.
Sounds good. Andy, and then Edna, I see you have your hand raised, so we'll circle back to you.
Hello, my name is Andy DiDeRossi. I am the owner of the Detroit Bus Company, which is a transit social benefit company here in the city. I was appointed by Mayor Duggan to the commission And, you know, we started what we're doing here to try to fill transit gaps, you know, certainly not to try to compete with or, you know, otherwise duplicate service from DDOT. We work on youth transit access, jobs access, things that don't normally fit in a you know, fixed route service. I'm a resident on the east side, so I'm here largely to learn and to think and to you know, offer support where we can. You know, we're headquartered out of Corktown, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot. I'd like to talk to you more about that. I'm familiar with the Detroit Bus Company, and I did read some information, but maybe we can have a meeting offline sometime. Maybe Sharon can set something up.
Yeah, I'd love to. I used to work closely with Director Dan Dirks, and we still stay in contact. You know, I'm in it for the long game. I think Detroit Transit can be not just good, but great. I believe in it.
I'm with you. I like you already. We're going to get together.
Thanks, Andy. So it is 12. It's after 12. The meeting was until 12, but I see Consuela and Miss Edna have something to say, so don't let me stop you. Go ahead, Miss Edna.
Yes, when you guys were talking about recruitment, I think I've mentioned before, DPD has, the Detroit Youth Violence Prevention Department has what's called a Drive to Thrive program, in which they help high school and young adults to get their driver's licenses. And I think it would be maybe advantageous to reach out to them so that you can make presentations about the bus company and drivers and what you do, because those young people are looking for jobs and opportunities, and coming fresh off getting their licenses, you guys can help them understand what's needed, what they can do, and start a recruitment base right here in the city from the students as they're coming out of high school looking for employment and things they can do. And to the point, I'm not sure who made it, but I brought that up before. If you train these drivers and they leave, there should be some way in which you can recoup something. You know, even if like when I first started with DPS, with Detroit Public School District, I did a signing bonus and I got extra money for that signing bonus, but I had to guarantee to work for 5 years with the district, or I had to repay that money. And every year I stayed, I got a little bit more until that 5-year period was over. So there are different ways and things that you can do for incentives. So I think one good way to start would be to reach out to them, because not only does the Detroit Youth Violence Prevention Department help students get licenses, those young adults that have had issues with licenses, they help them clear up their records, get things going. And those young men and women are also looking for job opportunities. I know in the past, one of the biggest problems we've had, of course, is them passing the drug test and all that kind of stuff. But the mentoring programs that they're doing now in DPD, it's really turning a lot of folks around, especially during that brotherhood and sisterhood program that they have. And those are young people which you can make a great influence on and talk to them about even ridership and things like that, that you can reach out and get some of our own as drivers, where you can impact them before they get into major issues, and hopefully retain some drivers.
Okay, I like that. That's a great suggestion. I'm familiar with the concept, and I've done it before. And I will move forward and look at it doing here. People have to realize that there are some people that just can't go to college. You know, there are some people that just don't have the money, but they don't know that public transportation is basically a microcosm of the city, the microcosm of the city of Detroit. Whatever your specialty is, it's in here somewhere, whether it's good with the computer, whether it's driving the bus, whether, you know, and there's opportunity. I tell people all the time, my father was a bus operator. Now, I'm a son of a bus driver, right? You can drive a bus and make a living and raise a family and keep it moving. A lot of people make a lot of money doing it. You know, with overtime, with overtime, there are some people making more money than, I used to say, I remember when I was running transit bus, and I had one guy that used to be really nice to folks getting on the bus, and the guy getting on the bus had a suit, and he'd say to me, I make more money than that guy in the suit, because with overtime, I make $140,000. I said, what? But you know what I mean? So people just don't know that opportunity is out there. And I think we get these kids and give them an opportunity and get them young, get them to understand, hey, it's a great opportunity. So no, I'm open to that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, get on the board because the sanitation truck companies are reaching out to the department, you know, talking to the young students and opportunities. So the more they realize what they can do once they get a driver's license, you know, it's just the opportunities open up. And I think the more we talk to them and make them aware of what's available, the better off they'll be. And I think it'll help with recruiting drivers before they get out there and get bad driving records and do crazy stuff because they have too much time on their hands when they can be working and contributing to the city.
I'll add that as part of the outreach. I've been working with marketing on a couple of outreach things. I'll add that on. Thank you.
So as you can see, we have a lot of wisdom sitting at this table. And I feel as we create what our new normal is, internally and externally, through DDOT and the community that we're all serving at the same time, I think that this is an opportunity for us to meet a whole lot more sooner. Because I think after this, we probably wasn't going to meet until the fall and whatnot. And there's a lot of decisions on how things can be done or should be done, especially taking a survey from the community and whatnot. But I also believe that we also need to take a survey of our frontline staff that deals with our community on a regular basis, especially at Rosa Parks. And you know, they might have a lot of things that could be done a whole lot more efficiently as their eyes and ears are right there. And that's one of the things I appreciate about Neil. Like he only gave suggestions on the system, but also he rode the bus too. So that's a major big difference. So I'm just making a suggestion that Oglesby, that we can meet as a board, do something totally different and new that we haven't done since I've been a part of this commission, is for us to really hone in on the talents of every individual here that can support and create a clear mission and vision of what DDOT and community members, how that engagement looks like. Because we're not telling our story. If we don't tell our story, how can people can trust that there has been changes and that we're looking for their best interest and whatnot. So I know you're just getting on, but you asked for this position. So welcome. We're ready to get to work. I know it's summertime, but there's nothing normal about anything we experienced these past 3 months. So that means the universe is saying that we need to do things differently. And so I'm ready to hit the ground running. And I want to know more details of what my other commissioners are doing and how I can support them. But how can we do that if we're not communicating? So if we're going to do this right, let's meet more regularly. And I'm looking forward to having the minutes of these meetings recorded and then present it back to us, because a lot of times we make suggestions, but how do we know as commissioners they've been applied or listened to or not? We don't. So if we're going to do this right, let's do it like for real, like how Detroiters are known to do it. Because I don't want to meet and plan to plan. I love you guys dearly, but the world is showing us that things are going to change with us or without us, and we're all solutionaries. So I would rather meet next month instead of waiting till September. That's all I'm saying.
Understood. I hear you, and I agree with you. I haven't stopped hitting the ground running, and I'll continue to hit the ground running. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with meeting as much as possible. My staff knows I'll sit in front of anybody and talk about transit, because I agree with you. We all need to be together as one on this, and the only way to do it is to talk, plan, professionally lay things out, which is it's going to happen, and come up with action items and then execute those action items. I'm fine with that. That's how I operate. So I look forward to it, and I'm sure you and I'll be talking more anyway. So before then, you can I tell people you need to get in touch with me. It's real simple. Just call.
Well, my birthday's next month, so that'll be a gift that I'm expecting from you before the 17th. There we go. Keep that in the notes.
Hold on one second. Let me write that down.
Yeah, July 17th. There you go.
Got it.
It's on a Friday, too.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We're winding down. We did talk about action items, but just to circle back really quickly, I'm writing them out. So we have that I will follow up with the board to make sure you all have each other's contact information. That will include the meeting minutes from today. And that'll also include a couple questions just to get more insight from you as board members on what you would like to see from this group, what you think we can improve, where you think we can utilize you more, stuff like that. And then marketing should be sending out that survey shortly. We should hopefully have that done this week. So once that is out, we will also send that to you with the expectation that you can support us in making sure writers in your community are taking the survey and giving us some of that information. Compliance will also be reaching out to you to get information that's needed for compliance for Title VI to make sure we're documenting this well. And then that's all I have for today. So to your point, Consuela, yes, the next board meeting on the calendar is September 21st. So we have a whole lot of time between now and then. And once I get that information back from the board members on what you would like to see, I can circle back with the exec staff to see if we're able to meet more frequently than that. And if needed, we'll circle back up with you before September to talk through that more. So that's all I have. And it is after 12 o'clock. So thank you all very much for joining. So glad all of you made it today. And
Can I make a comment real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, I just like to say, and I know the department may already know, but Eric Lowe, the brother Phil Lowe passed, so we'd like to keep their families in our prayers. I know Mr. Lucky may be aware already, I don't know. Hello?
Yes.
What was that?
Yeah, Eric Lowe. Did you know Eric Lowe, Phil Lowe's brother?
Yes.
Yeah, that he passed.
Yes, I did hear that last week. So,
I just say keep the family in our prayers. That's all. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a great day and a great week. Stay well.
You too. Peace.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everybody.